All right, looks like we are live for day 300. Should I connect to the chat? Okay. Today, day 325, we have a subject to deal. So a subject to deal is when you are buying a property, you're getting ownership of the property through the title, right? Now, in this situation, you are taking over the payments on the underlying loan. So in this scenario, you're still owning the property, but you're not taking out a brand new loan under your own name. Okay. Now, in this property, it's 5510 Verlin Drive, Kansas City, Missouri, 64152. The purchase price is $425,000 with a 4.62% interest rate. Total monthly payment for $27.47, $44,396 is the entry fee. Let's plug in some numbers here. So purchase price $425,000, 425,000. We'll look at the renovations in a little bit. My total mortgage is going to be $380,604, $380,604, 4.62% interest rate, 4.62% interest rate in case 7. The maturity date is 4/30/52, so I'm gonna subtract 30 years from that, so it gives me 4/30/22. And on this property, $27.58. That gives me total payment of $27.47, which includes the HOA fee. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not gonna double count that. So for $27.47, I'm gonna go to B28. I'm gonna do $27.47. And I'll subtract the principal portion of the subject to loan and the interest portion of the subject to loan. This gives me a total escrow amount of $791.30. That's probably what I'm paying right now for. I'm sorry, my camera's not working either. I don't know what's going on with it. So it's okay. We'll keep going. $791 is what we pay for taxes and insurance on this property. Now, given that number, right, that's the current number. But when I buy this property and I turn it into an investment property, chances are the insurance premium is going to go up because insurance companies typically view $791 is what we pay for. They typically view investment properties to be a little bit more risky, so they're going to charge you more premium. So hence why we're adding extra $30 for B29, right? Again, the reason I put in the total amount and subtract the principal and interest portion of subject to loan is because I don't really care about what my exact principal and interest breakout portion of the monthly payment is, because all I'm trying to figure out right now, what my goal is to simply figure out whether or not this deal is worth my time to investigate further, to send someone out there, to get a contractor out there to give me a bid, right? All of these items are requirements or needed investments of additional time and energy. And I want to make sure the deal cash flows before I do that. All right. So that's why I did it this way. All right, so I got 10% set aside for my maintenance. I got 10% for my property management. I got 5% for my vacancy, right? I just want to emphasize the most important part here is making sure you're setting aside money every single month for future replacements, meaning you know that the roof is going to replace in 10, 15, 20 years. You know that the HVAC is going to get replaced. Your air conditioner is going to break down at some point. And your water heater is going to break down at some point. Your toilet is going to get clogged at some point. So this is money, in my opinion, that doesn't belong to you. So if you don't set aside money right now, you will probably be thinking you made way more money than you actually are in reality, right? You don't want to be the person that gets a $20,000 bill 10 years from now, and all of a sudden realize that the extra $180 you made for the last 10 years were actually down the drain because now you just have to replace your air conditioner and your roof. So be very, very careful and be very, very wise about the whole property, all right, and the whole projections about your expenses. So now that I got these expenses in there, I need to go figure out what my let me put down entry fee right here. So this is the entry fee breakdown: 26,023, 26,023. My arrears is 83.73. So this means that this is amount that the seller still owes, and they're trying to get someone to pay those arrears so that they can catch back up and make the loan current. So that's why they're selling on a subject to loan, because they're probably in a lot of pain because they are now behind on their mortgage and they have fallen behind by $8,000. at 2.5% for closing costs. And now let's go and get the rent amount. Okay. Now this property is right here. So the first thing I do is I want to look up the property. It looks pretty good, to be honest with you. This is like a pretty good condition home. I think it's relatively turnkey for the most part. And it looks relatively new too. So it's like a nice home. Let's see where we are. What county is this in? So I want to look up the county, and this is in Platte County. So the first thing I want to do is look up HUD FMR, HUD FMR, fair market rents. That's what it stands for. Click on the first link, and then I'm going to go to the small area FMRs tab. Look up FY 2025, and this is in Missouri. And I'm going to look up Platte. And now I'm going to get a by bedroom count, by zip code, the rent ceiling for this property for 64152. 64152, you see that the rent ceiling here is 2150. 2150, and the 3-bed was 1810. Good to know. That was 64152. 64152, and that was a 3-bed. And I'll write the numbers down for a 4-bed. The reason I write all these numbers down is because my partners already know how to analyze my deals. So this is the fastest way for them to save some time when they do their due diligence, because I already got all the data points for them. Now I'll go to affordablehousing.com and go to the owner section. I go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in bedroom count, and now you're going to get the market rent for 25 units within the 3.14 mile radius, 3.1, so just call it 3 mile radius. The average rent is 2202. So this is kind of right in line with what the rent ceiling is, but I'll use 2200, right? Because for Section 8, usually that rent is going to be below 2150, because this 2150 usually includes utilities. In this scenario, you don't provide utilities, the carbon going to be lower. But I already know this is not going to cash flow because of what my debt service is. So let me just use the market rate of 2200. And that will show you how much money you're actually going to lose on this deal, even in the best case scenario, right? So at $2,200 in rent, right? Assuming this is a relatively turnkey property, let's go ahead and put in a rehab calculator. I'm just going to put aside, maybe this is a how much square foot home? 30,000 square feet home. I'm going to assume that I am going to replace the toilets with high pressure flush toilets. There's 2.5 bathrooms, so there's 3 toilets. I am going to zero out any modifications for the flooring. I'm going to do 3,000 square feet divided by 4. So I'm assuming maybe 25% of the home requires a little bit of paint job at $3 a square foot. Come out here, I got $500 for the landscaping, and then ultimately I got $1,500 for the roof in case there's any issues with the roof that I can't tell from just the photos, and that gives me a total rehab of $6,720 at $2,200 a rehab. After all things are said and done, this deal will be a negative cash flow of $1,127. If I rent this property out for $2,200, I'll be negative $1,127. That's assuming a cash and cash return of negative 21.9 based on my inputs right here. That's assuming a purchase price of $425,000 with a rehab number of $6,700. Okay, and that's how I figure out that this is not worth the deal. And obviously, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. Just simply showing you all the work that I'm doing every single day to get the practice in, to understand whether or not this is worth my time. And this scenario is not, right? But you got to decide what your strategy is, right? Some folks might say, hey, is this property going to go up by 10% next year? That's almost $40,000. Maybe I don't care about losing $1,000. I think that's very risky, obviously. It's very speculative. But everybody has their own strategy, and that's why you got to talk to your own investment professionals that understands your risk tolerance and your strategy the most. Some people might be happy just breaking even if they know that it's going to go up 5% next year, right? Everybody has a very different set of strategy and set of goals. So you got to decide what's right for you and best for you. So in this scenario, that's why this subject to deal was not a deal. And frankly, if you just saw, right, if you want to raw these deal and prevent burnout, right? Burnout typically happens when you spend a lot of time doing the work for no return on your efforts. That typically happens in these scenarios. So if you saw that your market rate right here was $2,200, and you saw that the monthly payment was $2,747, you could probably roll out that deal that's going to be a cash flow deal. When your rent is that much below your monthly payment, you already know it's going to lose money. You already know you're not even including utilities in here for the rent ceiling for Section 8. So not a good idea, but just make sure you pay attention and do the work, right? If you guys want to copy our spreadsheet, just go to affordablehousing.io, go to the Get Deal Analysis tool, put in your name, your email, your phone number, and that's the fastest way for you to get a copy of the spreadsheet. Promise I'm not trying to spam you. I'm simply showing you all the work that I'm doing every single day. And I got this spreadsheet from a few other folks. I modified them. I added my own parts. I tweaked them. I put in my own sort of set of numbers based on my experience of renovating property. That's all going to be completely up to you. So please, please, please put in the work, build the habit, and hopefully you can build your own YouTube channel so that you can prove to yourself that you know what you're doing. When the time comes and a deal comes across the table and slaps you across the face, that you can recognize the deal. All right. Have an amazing day, everybody. Hope you guys spend some quality time with your family and friends today, because that's what life is all about. All right. I am out. I'll see you back here tomorrow for day 326. Have a good one.